Requirement 6, PCR test advice, allows us to start looking at how to introduce some logic into this application. The requirement is that on the basis of temperature and age, the nurse should be advised whether or not a PCR test is required. So let's go and have a look at the application. Let's expand the application flow. We can see that the user selects a patient and sees some information about the patient, and there's a process that the user can use, record temperature. Let's have a look at the record temperature process and add some logic here, because we've got the temperature value from the user and we can compute on the basis of that and the age whether or not a PCR test is required. For the time being, let's just have a message for the user which will be shown only if the patient requires PCR test. So that's just a message that at the moment will be shown to for every patient, for every temperature input. But we can define the logic by going here to the second tab, Conditions, and define a condition on the basis of the value condition. Let's suppose that the rule is that if the temperature is over 38 and the patient is at least 18 years old, then the PCR test should be given. So let's say temperature greater than or equal to 38. So we've defined one proposition which is true if the temperature given is greater than or equal to 38, and a second condition is on the basis of not a process value but a value of the patient input. We want to know whether the date of birth, we want to calculate whether or not the person is 18 years old or not. So the date of birth, if that's earlier than 18 years before now, then the person is at least 18 years old. So that will be sufficient for that. Now we can add also a condition, a definition, which we call Metacondition, where we can combine existing conditions via logical operators. So this logical operator all is true if these subconditions are true. So this proposition is that the patient is an adult of at least 18 years and a temperature greater than or equal to 38. Now if we go back to the steps of the process, we've got this which we only want to show if that metacondition is true, and we can simply edit and add that metacondition as a precondition, and that's sufficient to implement this logic where the screening criteria will be activated and the user will be provided with that message. So we can test that out. Oh no, we've already built in the temperature process. We can check it out in the preview here. We've got now 3 patients registered, Fred and Mary are under 18, so it doesn't really matter what temperature we give here for Fred. Fred's under 18, so we won't get that message. Avril was born 1999, so she's at least 18 years of age. So if we provide a temperature of over 38 for Avril, the nurse will get that message. The patient requires PCR test. So our requirement 6 has been satisfied.